The office is quiet except for the hum of the HVAC system and the rhythm of rain against the windows. Brigadier General Avery Cole sits at his desk at the Pentagon, his second star catching the afternoon light. He is 54 years old and has been in the Army for 30 years. The office reflects this: neat, functional, holding only what is necessary. There are no photographs of him receiving commendations. There are no plaques naming him as Officer of the Year. The walls are bare except for a map of the world marked with small red dots, every place where he has served, every place where soldiers under his command have lost their lives. His hands are large and weathered. The knuckles are scarred from academy training, from the kind of physical conditioning that was mandatory in his era. His fingers move across the keyboard with surprising gentleness. He is reading a transfer request. The request is routine on its surface. Corporal Darius Webb, age 23, seeking reassignment from Fort Hadley to Fort Lancaster, 2 states away. The stated reason is clinical, off-base safety concerns. Cole reads the phrase again. He does not move. Outside, the rain continues against the windows. I do not feel safe traveling off base in this region. He reads it aloud quietly. No one is in the office to hear him except himself. He reads it again, letting each word settle. The phrase is not accidental. A soldier does not write, "I do not feel safe," in an official military document without having already exhausted every informal option. The phrase costs something. Cole understands the cost because he has been reading military language for 3 decades. He knows what it takes to write fear in the voice of official protocol. He pulls up Darius Webb's file on the screen. The photograph is 7 months old. Webb is young, younger than most soldiers. Though he is not unusually young, his uniform is pressed correctly. His expression is neutral in the way required of military photographs. There is nothing in the image that tells Cole why this 23-year-old has decided the only solution to his safety is to leave the state. Cole opens a drawer in his desk. The notebook is leather-bound, military issue, the kind that soldiers still carry into the field, though digital alternatives exist. The cover is unmarked. He has filled this notebook for 30 years. It contains only names of soldiers who died in deployment, names of soldiers who were killed stateside, names of soldiers who were discharged after psychiatric crises brought on by things the Army classified as personal adjustment issues. Names of soldiers who, like Darius Webb, submitted transfer requests because they no longer felt safe in their own country. He does not open the notebook to look at the names. He knows them. He has not written Webb's name yet, and he is trying to make sure he never will. Instead, he closes the notebook. He puts it back in the drawer. He makes a decision that no officer in his position should reasonably make. He takes the next day off. He tells his aide that he is attending to a personal matter. This is the complete truth and also an outright lie. There is nothing more personal to him than this. A 23-year-old corporal who believes, officially and in writing, that the country he serves is unsafe for him to inhabit. The Harley-Davidson is a 2018 Road King with custom chrome. It is not a vehicle that suggests military service. It is a vehicle that suggests someone with money and time and the kind of independence that comes from not caring what anyone thinks about either. Cole bought it 3 years ago from a mechanic in Arlington who was retiring. He has hidden it ever since, not because it is shameful, but because it is effective. Officers do not ride Harleys without drawing attention. Generals do not ride them at all. Today, Cole does. He is wearing leather riding gear from a civilian shop. jacket and gloves with no insignia, no identifier, nothing that suggests anything except a man who has decided to ride a motorcycle through the country on a Saturday morning. His wallet contains his military ID and his civilian license. He is gambling that he will not need the first one. The drive from the Pentagon to Harlan County is 3 hours. The rain ends somewhere in Virginia, and by the time Cole reaches the edge of county territory, the sun has burned through the clouds. The road is Route 9. It is the kind of road that goes through old towns and newer suburbs, that carries people from cities to rural areas and back again. It is not famous. There is nothing remarkable about it except that it is where Darius Webb was stopped 6 weeks ago by Sergeant Derek Norris. Cole knows this because he has read the complaint that Webb's unit filed when Webb returned from the stop visibly shaken. The complaint was filed and then quietly withdrawn, which is the closest thing to definitive proof that Webb was convinced withdrawing it was the better option. The gas station is a Sunoco, the kind that has existed for 20 years without changing significantly. There is a small convenience store attached. The pumps are old but functional. Cole parks the Harley near the entrance and removes his helmet. His hair is gray at the temples and close-cropped in military regulation, even in civilian clothes. He goes inside. The woman behind the counter is in her 50s, with sharp eyes and the bearing of someone who has worked in a convenience store long enough to understand the specific calculus of who is dangerous and who is just passing through. Her name is Maria Garza, though Cole does not yet know this. "Coffee," Cole says. "Black, no sugar." Garza nods and pours. The coffee is competent, not spectacular, but competent. Cole carries it outside and stands in the parking lot, looking at the road. Route 9 stretches north and south. Somewhere along it, Darius Webb was made to kneel. He does not have to wait long. The Harlan County Sheriff's Department cruiser is unmarked, except for the light bar on top, currently dark. It turns into the gas station parking lot from the north, moving slowly. The driver is Sergeant Derek Norris, age 41, 14 years with the department. Norris is not looking for anything in particular. He has learned, over those 14 years, that you do not need to look for pretexts. Pretexts are everywhere, available to anyone willing to reach down and pick one up. Norris sees Cole immediately. A black man, alone, on an expensive motorcycle, in leather gear that costs more than most sheriff's deputies make in a month. Alone in a parking lot drinking coffee. Norris has stopped men for less. He has stopped men for nothing at all. Norris parks the cruiser. He does not get out immediately. He sits in the driver's seat, running the motorcycle's plate through the system in his head. A ritual he has performed hundreds of times. It will come back registered. It will come back clean. None of this matters. By the time Norris gets out of the cruiser, he has already decided what he is going to find. "Sir," Norris says, walking toward Cole. His partner, Officer Jesse Ruiz, is with him, younger, Hispanic, 3 years on the force. Ruiz looks uncomfortable already, though nothing has happened. "That your bike?" Cole turns to face him. He has already decided what Cole's first mistake was. It will be easy to assign additional ones. "It is," Cole says. His voice is level. It contains no challenge and no submission. It contains only the truth delivered at normal volume. "I'll need to see your license and registration," Norris says. Cole sets down his coffee carefully on the parking lot curb. He does not rush. He reaches into his jacket and retrieves his civilian driver's license. The registration is on the bike. Norris takes the license. He reads it. He is looking for something, a tremor, an explanation. a word out of place that will justify what he is already committed to doing. Cole gives him nothing. He simply stands, hands visible, waiting. He has done this before, not exactly this, but close enough. He has stood at checkpoints in Afghanistan. He has stood while young soldiers with automatic weapons decided whether he was what they were looking for. He knows the calculus of survival in these moments. Compliance, patience, the refusal to provide an excuse. "This says Cole," Norris says. His voice has changed. It has taken on the sing-song quality of someone accusing another person of something for which he has no evidence. A.C. Cole. What does the A stand for? Avery, Cole says. Avery Cole, Norris repeats. He is working the name like a key in a lock that does not exist. "You live in Arlington?" "I do. Long way from home," Norris says. "What brings you to Harlan County?" Cole has prepared for this question. The answer is true enough. "I like to ride. It's a nice day." "You came all the way out here to Sunoco to drink gas station coffee?" "I came out here to ride," Cole says. "I stopped for coffee. The coffee is fine." Norris hands back the license. Cole takes it. The moment is stalled, held in abeyance. Norris does not have probable cause. He does not have suspicion. He has something stronger and more useful than either. He has authority and a decision about who to use it on. "The bike doesn't match the registration," Norris says. This is a lie. The bike matches perfectly. Ruiz, standing 3 feet away, knows this is a lie. His face has gone slightly pale. "The registration is in my name," Cole says. "The bike is registered to me. It matches." "I'm going to ask you to step over to the patrol vehicle," Norris says. "Let's clear this up." Cole could refuse. Cole could demand that Norris articulate his suspicion. Cole could cite the Fourth Amendment and the specific protections that are supposed to guard him against exactly this conversation. Cole does not do any of these things because Cole is not testing his legal rights. Cole is testing a theory that the thing which happened to Darius Webb is happening now, and that if he stays still long enough, he will be made to kneel. He walks to the patrol vehicle without argument. Norris pats him down, a theatrical performance of a frisk, his hands lingering on Cole's sides with the kind of intimacy that carries a message. Officer Ruiz is watching. His jaw is clenched so tightly it looks like pain. "In the car," Norris says, opening the back door of the cruiser. Cole sits in the back seat. The plastic is hard and worn. The door lock is removed. No one in the back seat of a police car can open the door from the inside. Norris closes the door. Cole can hear him talking to Ruiz outside the car, his voice too low to make out the words. Ruiz says something that sounds like a question. Norris responds, and Ruiz falls silent. They are not looking for anything. There is nothing to look for. The registration will be clean because it is clean. The bike is not stolen. Cole has no contraband, no weapons, no outstanding warrants. But none of this matters because, technically, Norris does not need to find anything. He only needs to keep Cole in the back of his cruiser long enough for the legal fiction of investigation to become real. Cole sits in the back seat and thinks about Darius Webb sitting somewhere in this county, terrified, compliant, confused about why he had been stopped. 30 minutes. 45 minutes. The kind of time that bends when you are trapped in the back of a police car in a county where you do not belong. Norris walks the registration back and forth from the bike to the computer in the cruiser. The charade takes time. Norris is not slow. Norris is deliberate. He is making Cole wait. He is making the wait visible, so that anyone watching knows what is happening. Harlan Okafor is watching. He is 74 years old, retired from the army, standing across the street from the gas station near a bus stop. He has a flip phone from 2008 in his pocket. He came to the gas station to buy a newspaper, but stopped instead to stand and watch when he saw the patrol car pull in. He knows what he is seeing. He has not seen it directed at him in 30 years, but he has not forgotten what it looks like. His hands shake as he reaches for his phone, not from age, from memory. He dials his grandson's number, Lieutenant Elias Okafor, stationed at Fort Hadley, works in the logistics command. He answers on the second ring. "Elias," Harlan Okafor says. His voice is steady. This takes effort, but he manages it. "Listen, there's a man being stopped outside the Sunoco on Route 9. Military looking. Big man. They've got him kneeling. Grandfather, I can't..." "Military looking," Harlan Okafor repeats. His voice does not waver. "You need to call someone up your chain. Someone needs to know about this." He hangs up. He puts the phone back in his pocket. He continues watching. In the back of the cruiser, Cole has been made to exit the vehicle and stand. Norris has decided that the motorcycle might be stolen. How Norris has decided this when the registration is clean is immaterial. The logic of pretexts does not require internal consistency. It only requires the appearance of procedure. "Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart," Norris says. "Hands where I can see them." Cole does this. He is standing beside the patrol car in the parking lot of a Sunoco gas station, visible to anyone who passes. Ruiz is looking away, his jaw still clenched. "I'm going to have Officer Ruiz do a more thorough inspection of the bike," Norris says. "This should only take a few minutes." This is a lie. They both know it will take as long as Norris wants it to take. Cole stands with his hands visible and his feet shoulder-width apart, and he thinks about Darius Webb. Webb was 23 when this happened to him. Webb had been in the Army for 2 years. Webb had come from a town in South Carolina where his mother worked as a nurse and his father worked in construction. Webb had joined because he wanted to serve, and because the Army was the kind of institution that had always promised that if you did the right things would happen to you. The promise had failed. The institution had not failed. The promise had failed. The institution had simply not kept it. Cole is standing in the parking lot waiting for whatever Norris has decided is next, and he is thinking about what it costs a young man to come to the conclusion that the institution he was willing to die for is not willing to protect him from the people it has empowered to hurt him. "You know," Norris says, "the reason I stopped you, it's protocol. Out-of-state registration, unfamiliar vehicle. We don't get a lot of traffic from Arlington this far out. We like to make sure everything's legitimate. This is still a lie. The registration is not out of state. It is Virginia, which is where Cole lives." Norris knows this because Norris has already looked at the license. Cole does not correct him. Cole stands with his hands visible and waits. He is waiting for the moment that Norris will stop calling him sir with that sing-song inflection. He is waiting for the moment when Norris decides that the pretext has been exhausted and something more is required. It comes faster than Cole expected. "Get down," Norris says. "On your knees." Officer Ruiz makes a small sound, not quite a word, something between a sound and a protest. Norris ignores him. Cole does not move. "No, I'm sorry?" "On your knees," Norris repeats. "Hands behind your head." This is the moment. This is the exact moment when Darius Webb's fear is validated. When the threat that caused a young man to write, "I do not feel safe in this region," is confirmed. Cole could refuse. Cole could stand his ground and demand an explanation. Cole could assert his rights. Cole kneels. The asphalt of the Sunoco parking lot is rough and warm from the sun. Cole's knees meet it directly. His hands go behind his head. Officer Ruiz has turned away completely now, his entire body language a statement of dissent that he does not have the courage or the conviction to voice. Cole kneels and he thinks about a moment from 3 years ago, not in Harlan County but in Germany, where he was assigned for 6 months. He was walking through a town with another officer, a young woman, Captain Patricia Osei, who was black. They were discussing logistics, something about a supply chain, when a German police officer stopped them. The interaction was polite on the surface. It was also specific. The officer had questions only for Osei. He did not ask for Cole's identification. He addressed his questions to Osei about where she was from and what she was doing there, and whether she had any identification. Cole had stood beside Osei while this happened. She had been professional. She had answered the questions. She had not been afraid because fear would have complicated the situation. She had simply endured it, afterward, when they were alone. Osei had said, "I keep thinking about the soldiers I serve with, the ones back home, and I think, at least when this happens to them, there's a chance someone will do something about it. At least their country is supposed to be different than this." Cole had not known what to say. He still does not know what to say. All he knows is that Darius Webb was right to be afraid. All he knows is that he is kneeling on asphalt in a gas station parking lot, and that this is what his fear looks like. Norris is talking now, but Cole is not hearing the words. Norris is explaining something, building a narrative that will appear in a report later. Cole is thinking about the notebook in his desk drawer. He is thinking about the names inside it. He is thinking about the decision he made 30 years ago to carry it. His knees are beginning to hurt. The asphalt is pressing patterns into his skin. He will have marks there in an hour. He will see them in the mirror tonight, and they will be the first thing he thinks about when he wakes tomorrow. And someone is watching. Someone is calling someone. The chain has been triggered. Sergeant Derek Norris does not yet know that Brigadier General Avery Cole, Director of Special Operations Logistics at the Pentagon, is kneeling in the parking lot of a Sunoco gas station. Norris thinks he has stopped a man on a motorcycle. Norris does not know that the man is a general. Norris does not know that this stop, this pretext, this moment of assertion has just activated the most efficient apparatus in the entire United States government. Norris does not know what he has done, but he is about to find out. Lieutenant Elias Okafor hangs up his grandfather's call and sits for a moment in the Fort Hadley logistics office. He is 28 years old, and he works in Colonel Marcus Walsh's command, which falls under the Director of Special Operations Logistics, which means that Brigadier General Avery Cole is 5 levels above him in the hierarchy of authority. Elias has seen Cole twice, once in the commissary, where Cole had held the door open for a young soldier, and once at a command briefing, where Cole had asked a question that required 3 minutes to answer and had listened to the entire answer without interrupting. Elias does not know Cole personally. What Elias knows is that his grandfather, who has not called him in 3 weeks, has just called to tell him that someone is being wronged on Route 9 in Harlan County. Elias picks up the phone. He does not call his commanding officer. He does not call the base commander. He does something that only works if the structure of authority is paying attention. He calls the public affairs officer and tells her that he believes there is an incident involving military personnel off base in Harlan County, and that the incident involves a potential civil rights violation. The public affairs officer is Captain Gloria Santos, age 46, JAG officer, Fort Hadley. She is experienced enough to know that many calls come in that are not credible. She is also experienced enough to know that calls that begin with I believe there is a civil rights violation. Require immediate investigation because the cost of ignoring them is so high that it is not a cost the military can afford." "Who are you?" Santos asks. "Lieutenant Elias Okafor, Logistics Command. My grandfather witnessed the incident." "What incident?" "A traffic stop," Okafor says. "A man being made to kneel by Harlan County Sheriff's Department. Military-looking individual." Santos does not ask for more information. She thanks Okafor for the call and hangs up. She is already moving. She walks to her office, closes the door, and calls the FBI's field office in the state capitol. She speaks to the special agent in charge, whose name is Martin Carver, who has been expecting a call like this his entire career and who knows what it means to move fast. "Civil rights violation, Harlan County, Route 9, Santos says. "Potential military personnel involved. The location is a Sunoco gas station. I don't have a name yet. I'm sending you a geographic location. I want federal presence on scene within the hour." "I'll need more than geographic location," Carver says. "What you need is less important than what you can get," Santos says. And she is not being rude. She is simply speaking the language of urgent federal action. "Move first, details second. This has already happened. The only question is whether it's documented when it does." Carver hangs up. He has 7 federal agents in his field office. He takes 3, including himself. They move toward Route 9. In the parking lot of the Sunoco, Cole is still kneeling. The time has elapsed in the way that time does in these situations, not fast or slow, but with its own internal logic. Norris has completed whatever narrative he was building. He is now in the stage of the interaction where he is trying to decide what comes next. The next thing that comes is the sound of engines. 3 black SUVs with government plates turn into the Sunoco parking lot from the south. They park in a tactical formation that suggests federal law enforcement. The doors open. Special Agent Martin Carver steps out with 2 other agents. His credential case is visible. Norris sees this, and his face goes white. Not the white of suspicion. The white of understanding that he has made a specific and perhaps catastrophic error. Carver walks toward Cole. Cole is still kneeling. Carver does not acknowledge Cole's kneeling position. He acknowledges Norris. "Sergeant Derek Norris," Carver says. This is not a question, though it is phrased as one. "Yes," Norris says. His voice is different now. It is the voice of a man who has realized that the rules of the game have changed. "I am Special Agent Martin Carver, FBI," Carver shows his credential. "I'm placing you on administrative leave, effective immediately, pending investigation into this interaction. You will surrender your badge and your service weapon. Officer Ruiz will collect your vehicle. This happens efficiently and without drama." Norris hands over his badge. He unholsters his weapon. He is led to one of the federal vehicles by an agent. The moment has inverted completely. 2 minutes ago, Norris held the authority. Now he does not. Carver turns to Cole. Cole is still in the kneeling position, though no one is asking him to remain there anymore. Carver does not ask Cole to stand. He waits. Cole stands. His knees are marked with the imprint of asphalt. His hands release from behind his head. He looks at Carver for the first time. "Sir," Carver says, "are you injured?" "No," Cole says. "Are you a member of active military?" "I am," Cole says. He does not volunteer his rank. Carver nods. He does not acknowledge the kneeling. He does not reference it. He simply says, "Federal presence on scene. You are safe now. An investigator will want to speak with you." Officer Ruiz is standing in the parking lot, his face pale. One of the federal agents walks toward him. "Officer Jesse Ruiz," the agent says. "Yes." Ruiz says, "I'm Special Agent Elena Morris. I'm going to need you to come with me. Your cooperation will be documented. Any failure to cooperate will be documented separately. This second sentence is the most important one. It is not a threat. It is a statement of fact about consequences." Ruiz gets into the federal vehicle without resistance. In the time that it takes for this to happen, perhaps 5 minutes, the reality of the situation has shifted completely. What was a simple traffic stop has become a federal investigation. What was routine authority has become the subject of scrutiny. What was invisible has become visible. Maria Garza, the woman who works at the Sunoco, has been watching from inside the convenience store. She has called her sister, who works at the county courthouse. Her sister will call her husband, who works at the newspaper. By tonight, there will be calls between the county sheriff and the state police. By tomorrow, the story will have begun. But in the moment, there is simply the fact of federal presence, of authority inverted, of the sound of engines that changed everything. Carver walks back to Cole. Cole is standing in the parking lot, marked with asphalt impressions on his knees, still wearing civilian riding clothes, looking at the FBI agent in front of him with the expression of a man who has set a trap for a specific animal and is now watching the animal walk directly into it. "I understand you're going to want to know who I am," Cole says. And this is the first time Cole has volunteered information instead of being asked for it. "I do," Carver says. "Brigadier General Avery Cole, Director of Special Operations Logistics, Pentagon." Carver does not react to this. Carver is a federal agent, and federal agents understand that people in uniforms sometimes do important things in civilian clothes. What Carver understands is what Cole understands. That the moment Norris decided to make Cole kneel, Norris crossed a line that had nothing to do with Cole's identity and everything to do with the fact that someone was watching. "General," Carver says, "I'm going to need you to remain here while we secure the scene. Someone will take your statement. This will be a federal investigation now." "I understand," Cole says. "Do you want medical attention?" "No," Cole says. "Do you want legal representation?" "No," Cole says. Carver nods. He walks back to the federal vehicles. He is already on his phone, already calling someone higher up the chain, already setting in motion the mechanism that will determine how this moment is investigated and what consequences fall where. Cole stands in the parking lot and watches the machinery he has activated begin to work. He has been awake for 18 hours. He has ridden a motorcycle for 3 hours. He has been kneeled and stopped and placed under federal investigation. He has succeeded. Captain Gloria Santos receives a call from Special Agent Carver. She listens. She nods, though Carver cannot see her nodding. She says, "Thank you. This will be handled at the federal level now." She hangs up. She pulls up a directory. She calls Captain Glenn Fitch, Sheriff of Harlan County. Fitch is at home, barbecuing, when his wife tells him he has a call from the military. "Captain Fitch," Santos says without preamble, "I am notifying you that a federal investigation has been initiated into actions taken by Sergeant Derek Norris of your department. I am also notifying you that I am placing an immediate hold on all complaint files related to Sergeant Norris pending federal review. Any files that are deleted, transferred, or altered in any way from this moment forward will be considered evidence tampering." Fitch, holding a hamburger spatula, understands that his comfortable afternoon is ended. "I don't know what authority you think you have," Fitch begins. "I have the authority of the United States military, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Department of Justice." Santos says, "I don't need more than that. I'm sending a representative to your office to collect the complaint files. This representative will arrive within 90 minutes. The representative will be armed. You will cooperate." She hangs up. Within 2 hours, the story has escalated from a traffic stop in a county parking lot to a federal civil rights investigation. Within 4 hours, Gloria Santos is sitting in the Harlan County Sheriff's Department in an empty conference room, reading 6 complaint files that detail Sergeant Derek Norris's history of stops, detainments, and the specific language of excess that has accumulated over 14 years. She reads them and takes notes. She does not read them out of anger. She reads them out of documentation. The anger will come later, but documentation is the foundation. In the evening, in the Pentagon, Cole receives a call from Colonel Walsh. Walsh is not angry. Walsh is informed, and being informed about your direct subordinate being placed in an FBI investigation is something that a commanding officer takes very seriously indeed. "Sir," Walsh says, "I understand that you were involved in an incident in Harlan County." "I was," Cole says, "and I understand the FBI is investigating. I'm going to recommend that you take administrative leave until this is resolved," Walsh says. "That's appropriate," Cole says. "I'm also going to recommend that you have legal representation." "I don't need legal representation," Cole says. "I didn't do anything wrong." "The FBI will determine that," Walsh says. "But having representation is standard procedure." "Understood," Cole says. He understands more than Walsh knows. He understands that Walsh is protecting the institution, and that protecting the institution requires appearing to hold Cole accountable until it becomes clear that holding Cole accountable would damage the institution's credibility. This is how the system works. It is not corrupt. It is just slow. "You'll take the administrative leave?" Walsh asks. "I will," Cole says. He hangs up. He is sitting in his apartment in Arlington, still in riding clothes, his knees marked with asphalt patterns. He has set something in motion that will now move according to its own logic. Federal investigations do not move fast, but they move with a specificity that is difficult to redirect once they have begun. Somewhere tonight, Special Agent Carver is documenting every word. Officer Ruiz is giving his statement. The chain of command is beginning to turn, and Darius Webb, somewhere in the world, does not yet know that the transfer request he submitted 3 weeks ago has just triggered the reason he needed to submit it. The first day of administrative leave is strange for Cole. He wakes at 0600 hours because that is when he wakes, and he goes to the gym because that is what he does. And the gym is empty because most of the military personnel have no reason to be there on a Monday morning. He runs 5 miles on the treadmill and thinks about nothing in particular, a trick he learned in his 20s, before the notebook, before the names, before he became a man who carries the weight of 30 years. By evening, he has heard from 4 people. The first is his sister in Atlanta, who has seen the story on the news and is terrified. The second is a former soldier, now retired, who served under Cole in Afghanistan, and who calls to say, "You did the right thing." The third is a lawyer who specializes in federal cases and who Cole does not hire, but who offers his services pro bono. The fourth is a text message from an unknown number that reads, "Thank you for stopping." Cole does not respond to the text. He does not know who sent it. The second day, the story has expanded. Local news has become state news. The pattern of Norris's stops, 6 excessive force complaints, all processed internally, all resulting in inaction, has become the larger story. Captain Glenn Fitch, the sheriff, is being questioned about his supervision. The governor's office has issued a statement expressing serious concern. The state attorney general has asked the FBI to brief her on the scope of the investigation. Cole spends the second day in his apartment. He does not take calls. He does not check email. He sits on his balcony and watches people move through the city below. And he thinks about a moment from his 20s, when he was a second lieutenant stationed in Alabama, and a black soldier under his command had been beaten outside a bar by 3 civilians. The soldier had survived. The civilians had received light sentences: 2 years, 16 months, 18 months. The soldier had left the army 6 months later. Cole had not been able to stop it. The institutional mechanisms had moved, had gone through the motions, had arrived at their predetermined conclusions. He had stood beside the soldier at the court hearing and had listened to the verdict and had understood that there was something broken in the system that went deeper than procedure or training. It was not that the system was corrupt. It was that the system had been designed to absorb impacts, to diffuse responsibility, to allow the accumulation of small failures to add up to a pattern no one was accountable for. He had started the notebook that week. Now, 30 years later, he is watching a different soldier, Darius Webb, attempt to escape that same system by requesting a transfer. And instead of accepting the escape route, Cole has chosen to stop it. He has chosen to say, the system will answer for this. The third day, Special Agent Carver calls. They meet in a federal building in Arlington, in a conference room on the 8th floor. Carver is alone. Cole is alone. There is a digital recorder on the table. "General," Carver says, "I understand that you visited Harlan County on Saturday with the intention of being stopped." "I did," Cole says. This is the first time anyone has asked Cole directly about his intention. Why? Cole does not answer immediately. He is thinking about how to explain a decision that sounds irrational when stated plainly and sounds like justice when experienced in context. "Because a soldier under my command submitted a transfer request," Cole says, "with the statement that he did not feel safe in this region. I read that statement. I understood what it meant. I wanted to know if his fear was justified. By putting yourself in the situation? By understanding the situation," Cole says. Carver nods. He does not judge. Judgment is not his role. Documentation is his role. The investigation indicates that Officer Ruiz's body camera was recording during the entire interaction. This is standard protocol in Harlan County. The recording shows Sergeant Norris instructing you to kneel. The recording shows you complying. The recording shows you in that position for approximately 6 minutes before federal agents arrived. "Yes," Cole says. "The recording also shows a vehicle across the street, and we have identified the occupant as Mr. Harlan Okafor, age 74. Mr. Okafor made a call during the interaction. That call was to his grandson, Lieutenant Elias Okafor, who contacted the military." Cole did not know this. He had suspected it, but he had not known it. He had not planned for Harlan Okafor. Harlan Okafor had simply been there, watching, and had decided to act. "I understand," Cole says. "The question becomes," Carver says, "whether your presence on Route 9 was intended to be a test of a specific officer or a test of a pattern. Because if it's the latter, then we need to investigate differently." Cole understands what Carver is asking. Carver is asking whether Cole was looking specifically for Derek Norris, or whether Cole was looking for the thing that made Derek Norris possible. Carver is asking about the difference between accountability for an individual and accountability for the system that produced the individual. "The latter," Cole says. "I was looking for the pattern." Carver nods. That changes the investigation, because now what we're investigating is not a single officer's behavior. We're investigating whether that behavior was trained, enabled, or explicitly permitted by the department's leadership. And that means we need to look at complaint files, disciplinary records, and a lot of conversations with other officers. Yes, Cole says. This is going to take months, Carver says. I understand, Cole says. And during that time, Carver says, Sergeant Norris will claim that you were planted, that you provoked the stop, that you are using your rank to crush him. That narrative will be believed by some people. I understand, Cole says. Are you prepared for that? Cole thinks about the question. He thinks about his rank, which he did not mention to Norris. He thinks about the fact that a general on administrative leave, being investigated by the FBI, whose story involves traveling 150 miles to be stopped on purpose, sounds like a man with an agenda, even if the agenda is necessary. Yes, Cole says. I'm prepared for that. On the 5th day of administrative leave, Cole receives a call from Darius Webb. Webb is at Fort Lancaster now, in his new assignment, in his new region, where he does not have to fear Route 9 anymore. He has heard the story through military channels, the same channels through which all important news travels. He knows what Cole did. He knows that Cole kneeled in a parking lot because of a phrase Webb wrote. Sir, Webb says, and his voice is uncertain. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Cole says. You kneeled, Webb says. You put yourself in the situation because of me. Cole is quiet for a moment. This is the thing that he did not anticipate. Not the investigation, not the federal presence, not the larger machinery of institutional accountability. What he did not anticipate is the moment when the soldier for whom he did this would understand what he had done and would have to carry the weight of knowing that a general had chosen to suffer for him. Not because of you, Cole says carefully. Because of what happened to you. Those are different things. The thing that happened to you would have happened to someone else if it had not happened to you. I wanted to make sure that pattern was visible. That's all. You made it visible, Webb says. His voice has changed. It is steadier now. I read the news. They're saying the FBI is investigating the entire department. They're saying there were patterns. That's because of you. That's because of what happened, Cole says. You just had the courage to report it. That made it possible for someone else to investigate it. Webb is quiet on the other end of the phone. Cole can hear the sounds of a military base in the background. People moving, vehicles, the specific acoustics of a place designed for efficiency. I want to come back, Webb says, to Fort Hadley. I don't want the transfer. You should be certain about that, Cole says. The situation there is going to change, and the change is going to bring attention. You'll be identified with this. It will follow you. I know, Webb says, but I want to stay. I want to stay because the road isn't going to hurt me anymore. That's the thing I want to stay for. Cole understands. Cole has been waiting for a soldier to say that. Cole has been waiting for a soldier to understand that the point of accountability is not punishment. It is the restoration of the possibility that certain things should not have to be feared. Then stay, Cole says. You'll need to work with the investigators. You'll need to tell them everything. Are you prepared to do that? Yes, Webb says. Yes, I am. Cole hangs up. He sits with the phone in his hand, and he thinks about the notebook in his desk at the Pentagon. Webb's name is in that notebook, but it is in there with a different meaning now. It is not there as someone lost. It is there as someone found. On the 8th day of administrative leave, Cole receives a letter. It is official military correspondence, sent from the Pentagon to his apartment. He opens it. Inside is notice of his suspension from active duty, pending the conclusion of the federal investigation. This does not surprise him. What surprises him is the second piece of mail. a handwritten letter, forwarded through the Pentagon, with a Harlan County postmark. He opens it. The letter is from Derek Norris. The handwriting is not steady. The letter is not long. It reads, General Cole, I know I have no right to write to you. I know what I did. I have read what Officer Ruiz said. I have read what the federal agents documented. I have understood what I did. I did not think of myself as a bad man before this. I did not think of myself as someone who would hurt people because of who they were. But the federal investigators showed me the pattern. 6 complaints, 6 times. The families that complained, the women, the men, the children in cars, all the same choice, all the same decision. The investigators showed me something else. They showed me that 2 years ago, I applied for a liaison position with Fort Hadley. The position was rejected because of my record. I told everyone I declined it because I did not want military bureaucracy. That was a lie. I told myself I declined it. That was also a lie. When I saw you at the gas station, I recognized something. I recognized the thing that had rejected me. I gave it a name, and I pretended the name was reason. I am not writing this because I think it changes what I did. I am writing this because I owed you the truth about why. Not just the acknowledgement of what. Derek Norris. Cole reads the letter 3 times. He does not know whether Norris is being honest or whether this is a calculated attempt at redemption that will look good when presented to the disciplinary board. He does not know whether Norris's understanding is real or whether it is the understanding of a man who has been forced to see himself and is trying to manage the damage. What Cole knows is that Norris has written it. What Cole knows is that the letter is a human document, not an official one. What Cole knows is that something in Norris, whether good or bad, or simply aware, has produced this attempt at explanation. Cole puts the letter carefully in an envelope. He does not file it. He does not make copies. He puts it somewhere that is not official, not institutional, but personal. On the 15th day of administrative leave, Cole receives a call from Colonel Walsh. The federal investigation has concluded its preliminary phase. The evidence is clear. Norris's conduct was excessive. The department's oversight was inadequate. The pattern was documented. All of this is now subject to federal review, which may result in charges, which may result in civil actions, which may result in training changes across the county. You're going to be cleared, Walsh says. The investigation into your conduct will be closed. Your administrative leave will be terminated, and you'll be reassigned. Where? Cole asks. That's being determined, Walsh says, pending your acceptance of the terms. What terms? Public statement that you will not comment on the investigation. Recognition that you followed procedure once the federal agents arrived. Assertion that your actions, while unconventional, were taken out of concern for soldier welfare and not out of personal motivation. Cole understands. The military is protecting itself by protecting him. It is saying, "We will restore you if you will be quiet about what you did and why you did it." I have one condition, Cole says. General, we're not really in a position. One condition, Cole repeats. Darius Webb receives an honorable separation if he requests it, no questions asked, or if he remains. He receives assignment stability for 2 years minimum. And Officer Jesse Ruiz of the Harlan County Sheriff's Department receives a recommendation letter from the Department of Defense regarding his handling of the investigation. Walsh is quiet. He is calculating what Cole is asking for, which is 3 small things that add up to one large statement, that the military will care about the soldiers it has failed, that it will care about the officers who choose to tell the truth, and that it will not simply move on. "I can do 2 of those 3, Walsh says. "Do all 3, Cole says. "Or I'll be the one commenting publicly on the investigation. This is not a threat. This is a clear statement of what Cole is willing to risk. Cole is willing to lose his commission, his pension, his 30 years of service, rather than accept a resolution that does not include the people who were affected by what he exposed. Walsh understands. "I'll see what I can do." He hangs up. Cole sits in his apartment and waits. He understands that he has now overstepped, that he has now asked for things that go beyond procedure, beyond his authority, beyond what a brigadier general should reasonably be negotiating. But he also understands that if this moment is not used to change the things around it, then the moment itself becomes meaningless. By evening, Walsh calls back. "Done," he says. "All 3. Don't ask me how." Cole hangs up. He sits in the gathering darkness of his apartment, and he allows himself to feel something like relief. 31 days after the stop, Sergeant Derek Norris sits in a disciplinary hearing before the Harlan County Sheriff's Office Internal Review Board. The board consists of 3 people: Captain Glenn Fitch, who is already implicated in the investigation and who looks like he has not slept in weeks; Lieutenant Sarah Howell, who is not implicated and who sits with the bearing of someone who is about to make choices that will end her career in this county or save it; an attorney, David Chen, an outside counsel brought in specifically to manage the appearance that this hearing is fair. Officer Jesse Ruiz is present, although he is not here to be investigated. Officer Ruiz is here because he has requested to testify. Special Agent Martin Carver is present with 2 other federal agents. They are not here to argue. They are here to document. Their presence is the only thing that keeps this hearing from being a rubber stamp of predetermined outcomes. Norris looks diminished. His uniform is crisp, probably the crispest it has ever been. Because when you are facing the loss of your career, you pay attention to the small things you still control. His face is weathered. He is 41 years old and looks 55. Attorney Chen reviews the charges: excessive force, unwarranted detention, false statement to federal investigators. This last one is the most serious. The evidence is presented: the body camera footage, Officer Ruiz's statement, the federal documentation, the pattern of previous complaints. Norris does not deny anything. He does not contest the facts. He sits and he listens to the evidence of what he did, and he does not look away. When it is his turn to speak, he does not apologize. He does not make excuses. He does something more honest and more difficult. He tells the truth about how he understood himself to be operating within procedure. "I did not make that stop because of his race," Norris says. The irony is audible in the statement, because of course he did. The body camera shows it clearly. The decision happened in a moment when no legitimate reason existed. "I made the stop because I thought," Norris stops. He looks at Attorney Chen, who nods very slightly, encouraging him to continue. "Because I thought I had the authority to," Norris says. "I had done it before. I had done it many times. I had never had consequences. I had never had anyone challenge it. Never had anyone say it was wrong. I had internal complaints, and they went through Captain Fitch, and they came back to me as completed or closed. So I thought," he stops again. "So I thought the authority was real," he says. "I thought the pattern was acceptable because I had not been told it was unacceptable. I thought it was normal." This is the moment. This is the moment when Derek Norris, a cop who was rejected by the military and who took it out on a man who succeeded in the military, stands in front of a disciplinary board and implicates not just himself, but the system that allowed him to believe the pattern was normal. Lieutenant Sarah Howell is watching him. Her face shows nothing, but her hands, which are folded in front of her, show tension. She is a woman who works in a system she now understands to be broken, and she is about to have to decide what to do about it. Officer Ruiz is called to testify. He stands, and he is sworn in. He looks at Norris with an expression that contains no judgment and no forgiveness. It contains only the specific sadness of a young man who followed someone he respected into something he did not respect. Officer Ruiz, Attorney Chen says, "Can you describe what you observed during the traffic stop in question?" "I observed Sergeant Norris initiate a stop based on registration information that matched the vehicle," Ruiz says. His voice is steady. He has practiced this, or he has lived it so many times that practice is not necessary. "I observed him request identification and registration, which the driver provided. I observed him state that the bike did not match the registration, which was false. The registration was accurate. Did you communicate your concern?" "I did," Ruiz says. "I suggested we call it in, that we had no probable cause." "What was Sergeant Norris's response?" "He said we could take our time." Ruiz says, "He said we could investigate thoroughly. He said those were his exact words." "And what did you do when he told the driver to kneel?" Ruiz looks away for the first time. This is the moment that is costing him something. This is the moment when he has to say out loud why he did not act. "I did not intervene," Ruiz says. "I did not call for backup. I did not refuse the order. I stood there." "Why did you not intervene?" Ruiz is quiet for a moment. When he speaks, his voice is different. It is the voice of a man who is finally saying the thing he has been unable to say. "Because I was more afraid of being wrong about Sergeant Norris than I was of being right about the man in the car," Ruiz says. "Because it was easier to assume the person with experience knew something I did not than to trust my own understanding that something was wrong. Because I did not have the courage to be certain." This sentence hangs in the room. It is the most honest thing anyone has said in the entire hearing. Howell is writing something. Carver is documenting. Norris is listening to a young officer describe the specific failure of nerve that allowed the old officer's actions to continue unobstructed. "One more question," Chen says. "If you could go back to that moment, would you do something different?" "Yes," Ruiz says immediately. "I would refuse. I would call it in. I would do what was right instead of what was easy." He steps down. He walks back to his seat. He does not look at Norris. The hearing continues for another 3 hours. Other officers are called. The pattern of Norris's stops is documented in detail. The first names of people who were stopped on Route 9 over the past 5 years are listed. The specificity of the pattern, primarily Black and Latino drivers, primarily on Friday nights, primarily for infractions so minor that they would normally result in a warning, is made clear. By the time the hearing concludes, the record shows that Derek Norris did not act alone. He acted within a system that had been designed to allow this action, that had provided no consequences for previous actions, that had implicitly given him permission to believe this was the way things were done. Fitch's role in this becomes unavoidably clear. The pattern of complaints routed through his office, the consistent decision to close them, the resistance to investigation, all of it begins to look less like individual decisions and more like institutional choice. Fitch does not testify. Fitch does not have to testify. Fitch's actions, documented in files, in emails, in the patterns of how his department operated, testify for him. The disciplinary board reconvenes the next day. The decision is unanimous: termination of employment. with the recommendation that Norris's case be referred to the State Bar Association for consideration of criminal charges. The decision is not merciful. The decision is not designed to rehabilitate. The decision is designed to remove someone from power who has abused that power. Norris is notified. He does not contest the decision. His lawyer does not appeal. He simply signs the paperwork that severs his employment from the Harlan County Sheriff's Department and returns to his house. Within 48 hours, Captain Glenn Fitch announces his resignation. He does not do this voluntarily. He does this because Lieutenant Sarah Howell has documented the pattern of his failures, and the federal investigators have found the evidence of his complicity, and the governor's office has begun asking questions about whether the department can be trusted to police itself. Fitch is not charged with a crime. Fitch is simply removed. He takes a payout and agrees to never work in law enforcement again, and he disappears into the kind of quiet that follows public failure. Officer Jesse Ruiz is offered a position with the State Police Academy, teaching about civil rights violations and the cost of remaining silent. The offer comes from a superior who has read the federal investigation file and understands that Ruiz is the kind of officer who might prevent the next violation by making it clear that intervention is possible. Cole receives a call from Gloria Santos. Santos has stayed in Harlan County, helping to implement the reforms that the federal investigation has recommended: new training, new oversight procedures, new complaint tracking systems, the specific institutional changes that are meant to make the pattern of Norris's behavior impossible in the future. It's going to take years, Santos says, but it's going to change. That's something, Cole says. It's more than something, Santos says. It's what you came here for. Cole is quiet. I came here for a soldier, he says. I stayed for the pattern. That's how it works, Santos says. You can't save a soldier without changing the system that endangers him. Cole hangs up. He thinks about this formulation, that personal salvation and institutional reform are inseparable, that to save one person, you have to change the thing that would have destroyed them. 2 weeks after the hearing, Cole receives a second letter from Derek Norris. This letter is longer. This letter describes Norris's thoughts as he has watched everything he built fall apart: the career, the authority, the identity he had constructed as someone with power. The letter does not ask for forgiveness. The letter asks for understanding about the specific architecture of how someone becomes someone who does the things Norris did. Cole reads the letter. He understands it. He does not forgive Norris. Forgiveness is not his to give. But he understands the specific pain of realizing that you have built your identity on a foundation that was always corrupt. He puts the letter with the first letter. He keeps them separate from the official documents, separate from the institution. These are human documents. These are the things that institutions destroy when given the chance. Darius Webb is driving home from work. It is a Friday evening, and the road is Route 9, and Webb is driving carefully because this road has meaning now that it did not have before. The road that scared him is now the road that gave him reason to believe that fear could be addressed, that something invisible could be made visible, that a general could choose to suffer so that a corporal would not have to. Webb is 23 years old, and he is a staff sergeant now. His promotion came through 2 weeks ago, not as reward, but as recognition of the work he has done, the testimony he has given, the specific courage it took to say, "This happened to me, and it was wrong." The road is beautiful. It is late afternoon, and the light is gold, and the trees that line Route 9 are beginning to change color. Webb drives under the speed limit, and he looks at the road with the specific attention of someone who is reclaiming it. At the Sunoco gas station, Maria Garza is working. She recognizes Webb, not because she saw him before, but because he came in a week ago and bought coffee and thanked her by name. He had learned her name from Cole. Cole had learned her name from standing in her gas station and watching her work. Staff Sergeant Webb, Garza says. Coffee? Black, no sugar, Webb says, and he smiles slightly. Because this is the order that Cole drinks. He stands outside with his coffee and looks at the parking lot. The place where Cole kneeled is not marked, but Webb knows where it is. He can see it in his mind with complete clarity. He can see the asphalt. He can see Cole's knees pressing into the asphalt. He can see Officer Ruiz turning away. He can see Derek Norris standing with the specific bearing of someone who does not yet understand that his moment is ending. Webb finishes his coffee. He gets back in his car. He drives home. 3 months later, a military police officer in Colorado observes an unusual traffic pattern in a county near Fort Wyatt. The county has been pulling over soldiers at a rate inconsistent with civilian stops. The officer reports this. The report travels up a chain of command. Within weeks, the federal apparatus that opened its eyes in Harlan County opens them again. The pattern is smaller, less documented, caught earlier. The officers involved are identified. The department is asked to correct the pattern. Some departments correct it. Some departments resist. The federal presence that became familiar in Harlan County becomes familiar in Colorado, in Maryland, in 3 counties across the South. The investigation of Derek Norris has become a template. The visibility that Cole made possible in one place becomes a tool that can be used in other places. Cole, reinstated to active duty and reassigned to the Pentagon, does not talk about this. He does not give interviews. He does not write op-eds. He simply returns to work. The notebook in his drawer has been updated. Webb's name is there, but not the way it was before. The entry reads, Webb Darius, Corporal to Staff Sergeant, stayed. Cole has added similar entries for other soldiers who have come forward, who have testified, who have stayed in the places they were afraid to stay. The notebook is not longer anymore. It is fuller. It contains names of soldiers who chose to stay. On a Saturday morning in October, Darius Webb arrives at the Pentagon on a visitor's pass. He is there to brief a group of junior officers on the investigation, on what it felt like to report it, on what courage actually costs when courage means submitting to a federal investigation and having your private trauma examined by people in suits. Cole is in the briefing room. Cole does not moderate the conversation. Cole sits in the back and listens. Webb speaks with the clarity of someone who has had time to understand what happened to him and why it matters that it be visible. The thing I want to say, Webb tells the junior officers, is that I could not have done this alone. I could not have reported this if no one was listening. What General Cole did was make sure someone was listening. He made sure that the thing that happened to me in a parking lot was big enough that the whole system had to respond to it. Cole listens. He does not nod. He does not acknowledge. He simply listens to a young man testify to the value of visibility. After the briefing, Webb and Cole stand in a hallway of the Pentagon. They have not been alone together since the phone call on the 5th day of Cole's administrative leave. I got approved for a motorcycle course, Webb says. I'm going to learn to ride. I want to ride with you, if you do that kind of thing. I ride, Cole says. On Route 9? Sometimes, Cole says. I want to ride Route 9 with you, Webb says. Not running away, just riding. Then we'll ride, Cole says. 3 weeks later, Cole and Webb ride together on a Saturday morning. Webb is on a borrowed motorcycle, wearing a helmet that is slightly too large. They start from Cole's apartment in Arlington. They ride north on Route 9. The sun is rising as they ride. The road is empty. Saturday mornings on Route 9 are quiet. They do not talk. Cole and Webb have learned that there are moments when speech is secondary, when motion and presence are sufficient. They stop at the Sunoco. Maria Garza has not yet opened the station, but the doors are unlocked. Inside, coffee is warming. They each take a cup. They stand outside with the sun rising over the parking lot. Webb looks at the asphalt. Cole looks at Webb. "Why did you start the notebook?" Webb asks. Cole turns to look at him. "You know about the notebook?" "You told me to start one," Webb says. "I did," Cole says. "I started mine because I needed to remember that the things I couldn't fix were real, not statistics. People with names and stories. The notebook keeps them from becoming abstractions." Webb nods. He understands what Cole is saying without needing more explanation. "Did you put my name in it?" Webb asks. "Yes," Cole says. "What does it say?" Cole, Webb, Darius, corporal to staff sergeant, stayed. Webb looks at the road. The road stretches north and south. The same road that frightened him. The same road that he stayed for. "That's a good thing to say about someone," Webb says. "Yes," Cole says. "It is." They finish their coffee. Webb adjusts his helmet. He has practiced this, getting the fit right. Cole waits without comment. He has learned that there are moments when the most useful thing you can do is simply wait. They put their helmets on. They walk to their motorcycles. Webb takes a breath, looking at the machine that he has been afraid to ride. The machine that Cole showed him was possible. "Ready?" Cole asks. Webb nods. He is ready. They start their engines. The sound is loud in the quiet morning. They pull out of the parking lot. They ride north on Route 9, 2 soldiers on motorcycles, moving away from the place that scared one of them, and toward the place that belongs to him now. Cole's office has already been mostly cleared. His replacement is coming on Monday. The personal items are being packed. The photographs that never hung on the walls are still not hanging. The map with the red dots marking his service locations will go into storage. All that is left are 2 drawers. His aide, a young sergeant, stands ready to pack them. Cole holds up a hand. "I'll handle these 2, he says. "General, I can—" the aide begins. "I'll handle them," Cole repeats gently. The aide leaves. Cole opens the first drawer. The notebook is there, leather-bound. 30 years of service. 30 years of names. He has not counted the pages in a long time, but now he counts them. 83 pages, each page filled with names, each name representing a moment when Cole stood beside a soldier and understood that the institution had failed them. He counts the last 10 pages, the new names, the soldiers who stayed. Webb's name is in here, along with 12 others. Soldiers who came forward, who testified, who chose to believe that visibility was worth more than safety, that institutional accountability was worth more than transfer. Cole closes the notebook. He puts it in a box with his personal items. The notebook does not belong to the institution. The notebook belongs to him. The second drawer contains the letters. The first letter from Derek Norris, explaining why. The second letter, longer, describing the specific process of understanding what he had done. There are also letters from other officers, letters asking what to do about their own patterns, letters asking how to tell if they have been part of a system that was corrupt, letters asking for forgiveness that Cole cannot give. Cole takes all of the letters. He does not file them. He does not make copies. He puts them in the box with the notebook. These are human documents. They belong with the other human documents. He closes the drawer. It is empty now. He sits at the desk and he allows himself to remember what this office has been. The place where he read Webb's transfer request. The place where he made the decision to ride to Harlan County. The place where he returned a changed man, marked with asphalt pressed into his knees. 20 minutes later, Cole walks out of the Pentagon for the last time. His aide carries the official boxes. Cole carries the smaller box with the notebook and the letters. Some things you carry yourself. In the parking lot, the Harley is in its usual spot. It has been there for 3 years. It has carried him through deployments of understanding, through the recognition of patterns, through the specific moment when he chose to make visible something that should never have been invisible. He puts the box carefully in the saddlebag. He secures it. He puts his helmet on, his riding helmet, not his military helmet, the helmet of a man who is leaving the institution and becoming simply a man who rides. He sits on the motorcycle for a moment before starting it. He thinks about Webb on the road this morning. Webb on Route 9, driving home from work, and the drive being fine. The drive being only a drive. The fear being gone because the thing that caused the fear had been addressed. He thinks about Harlan Okafor on the bench. Okafor, who had come home from his own service, who had carried his own trauma, who had seen Cole kneeling and had made a phone call that changed everything. "Don't stop," Okafor had said in Cole's last conversation with him. "Even if it just changes what's possible." That is what he did. He changed what was possible. He made it possible for a soldier to stay. He made it possible for an officer to testify truthfully. He made it possible for an entire county to understand that the pattern they had considered normal was, in fact, unacceptable. He starts the Harley. The engine catches. The familiar rumble of it. The sound of a machine he has ridden for years. He pulls out of the Pentagon parking lot. He takes the route that goes north. He rides. The road stretches ahead of him. The road is still there. The road has always been still there. It is not the road that has changed. It is the people who own it that has changed. Tonight, it belongs to him. He rides until the base is behind him, and the country opens up, and the road goes straight for miles. And then he keeps riding. A year later, Route 9 in Harlan County has not changed. The Sunoco is still there. Maria Garza is still working. The asphalt of the parking lot still bears the same markings as before, except for the specific wear patterns where Cole kneeled, which have faded but not disappeared. The sheriff's department has a new captain. His name is Marcus Webb, no relation to Darius, and he is 38 years old, and he arrived from another county with a mandate to rebuild trust. The mandate is specific. The department will implement the training that the federal investigation recommended. The department will create a civilian oversight board. The department will document every stop and make the documentation publicly available within 48 hours. These are not radical reforms. These are basic reforms. The fact that they were not in place before indicates the specific nature of what was wrong. Norris did not leave the state. He lives in Harlan County still, unemployed, with no criminal record, though a civil suit from one of his prior stops has resulted in a settlement that consumed his savings. He does not work. He does not go outside often. He has become the kind of person who is defined by the mistake he made, who cannot seem to recover from the visibility of that mistake. Cole did not reach out to him after he left the Pentagon. Cole did not forgive him. Cole did not condemn him. Cole simply chose not to know what happened to him. The past was past. The present was something else. Officer Jesse Ruiz was accepted to the State Police Academy's training program. He teaches now. His specific course is called Intervention in the Field, and it teaches officers how to recognize when a stop is becoming something else, when a decision is becoming a pattern, when silence is becoming complicity. The course is full every time it is offered. Darius Webb was promoted to Staff Sergeant. He is still stationed at Fort Hadley. He rides Route 9 every Friday, driving home from work, and the drive is a drive and nothing else. The fear is gone. The fear that caused him to write, "I do not feel safe traveling off base in this region," has been addressed not by his departure, but by his decision to stay, and by his willingness to testify about why he had been afraid. Brigadier General Avery Cole retired from the Army. He did not retire to a board. He did not retire to a position at a consulting firm. He retired to his apartment in Arlington and to his Harley-Davidson and to the road. He still rides every Saturday morning. He sometimes rides alone. Sometimes he rides with Webb. Sometimes he rides with Harlan Okafor, who, at 75, decided that retirement was a good time to learn to ride a motorcycle. Sometimes Okafor's grandson, Lieutenant Elias Okafor, rides with them. Elias was promoted to captain. He works in logistics, like Cole did. He carries a notebook like Cole does, not for the same reason, but for similar reasons. He wants to remember what he was willing to act for. On a Saturday morning in October, Cole is sitting in his apartment drinking coffee when his phone rings. It is Gloria Santos. Santos is no longer with the JAG office. She is now Director of Civil Rights Training for the entire Department of Defense. The work is expanding. The patterns are being investigated across the country. The thing that began with one soldier's transfer request has become a nationwide initiative. "I wanted to tell you," Santos says, "that we're implementing a new protocol starting in January. Every commanding officer will be required to investigate off-base civil rights complaints themselves, not delegate them, not route them through administrative channels. Actually investigate them. We're calling it the Webb Protocol." Cole does not respond immediately. The protocol has a name. The soldier has become not just a person who was wronged, but a person whose name is attached to change. "Does Webb know?" Cole asks. "Not yet," Santos says. "We wanted to tell you first." "Tell him," Cole says. "Let him understand that his name is now attached to something that protects people." Cole hangs up. He finishes his coffee. He gets his helmet. He rides to Route 9. The Sunoco parking lot is empty when he arrives. Maria Garza sees him and waves. Cole waves back. He walks to the spot where he kneeled. The spot is indistinguishable from any other spot now. The wear has faded. The asphalt has aged evenly. The specific impression of that moment has been absorbed back into the road, but Cole remembers it. Cole can see it as clearly as if it happened yesterday. Cole can feel the asphalt pressing into his knees. Cole can hear Darius Webb saying, "I do not feel safe traveling off base in this region." Darius Webb is driving home from work right now. Webb is 24 years old. Webb is a staff sergeant. Webb is driving on Route 9, and he is not afraid. That is the thing that matters. That is the change that was always worth it. Cole turns to leave the parking lot and sees a motorcycle turning in. It is Webb. Webb is not scheduled to meet Cole today, but Webb sometimes stops at the Sunoco on his way home just to stand in the parking lot and acknowledge the place that scared him and that he stayed for. Webb sees Cole and his face changes. He was not expecting this, but he is glad. They do not hug. They do not say much. They stand in the parking lot and they understand the specific nature of the thing they have both given up and been given. There's a protocol, Cole says. Starting in January, commanders have to investigate civil rights complaints themselves. It's going to be called the Webb Protocol. Webb takes this in. He does not smile. He does not celebrate. He simply nods. That's going to change things, Webb says. It might, Cole says. Or it might just make visible what was already happening. Either way, your name will be attached to it. Is that okay? Webb asks. That's more than okay, Cole says. That's what was always supposed to happen. Webb looks at the asphalt. I used to be so afraid of this place, he says. I know. Cole says, now when I come here, I don't remember the fear. I remember you kneeling. I remember understanding that I was worth someone risking everything for. That doesn't go away. No, Cole says. It shouldn't. They stand in the parking lot as the afternoon light begins to shift. The road stretches north and south. Route 9 is still there. The road is always still there. What matters is who it belongs to when you're on it. Tonight, it belongs to them. Cole's office in his apartment is small. A desk, 2 chairs, a bookshelf. Nothing military except for the photographs, finally hung back, of soldiers he has served with and soldiers he has lost. He is clearing the desk on his last official day of retirement. The paperwork is complete. The pension is processed. The uniform is packed away in a cedar closet, where it will stay unworn but preserved, because uniforms are not thrown away. They are kept as testimony to the time they were worn. The notebook is in the top drawer. The letters are underneath it. He removes them both. He does not review them. He knows them. He has lived them. He puts them in a wooden box, not a military box, not an institutional box, but a personal box made from oak that a friend gave him years ago. The box that was supposed to hold things that mattered. He closes the drawer. It is empty now, except for a pen and a phone. He lifts the box carefully. He carries it from his office to the living room. He sets it on the mantel, where it will sit for the rest of his life, not as a display, but as a witness. The people in the notebook, the confessions in the letters, the specific history of what he has done and why he has done it. The box knows. His phone rings. It is Webb. I heard they're making it official tomorrow, Webb says. The Webb Protocol. It's going to the entire military command structure. That's good news, Cole says. I wanted to thank you, Webb says, for everything. Cole is quiet. He's thinking about the specific thing Webb is thanking him for. Not the attention, not the investigation, not the protocol that bears his name. Webb is thanking him for understanding that a young soldier's fear was not paranoia or weakness. It was accurate perception of a real threat, and that threat deserved to be addressed. You thanked me by staying, Cole says. That's all the thanks anyone needs. He hangs up. He looks at the box on the mantel. Inside is the notebook with the names of 30 years. Inside is the letter from Derek Norris explaining why. Inside is the specific history of what it costs to make visible what should have always been visible. Cole opens the front door of his apartment. He can see the motorcycle in the parking lot. He can see the road from his window. He has been asked by 3 universities to teach, to tell the story, to make it into a curriculum. He has declined all 3. The story does not belong in classrooms. The story belongs on the road, in the real world, in the specific moments when someone decides whether to stay or leave, whether to speak or be silent, whether to make visible what should have always been seen. Cole puts on his jacket, puts on his helmet, he goes to the motorcycle, he he rides. The road stretches ahead of him, the same road that Darius Webb travels every Friday, the same road that Harlan Okafor watched from, understanding in a single moment what it costs to witness injustice. The same road that Derek Norris traveled when he was still in uniform, still believing that his authority was legitimate, still invisible in his corruption. The road is still there. The road will always be still there. It will carry soldiers and citizens and the specific weight of every choice made on it. Cole rides north. The sun is setting. The air is cool. The road belongs to everyone who travels it honestly. Tonight, it belongs to him. He rides until the base is behind him and the country opens up and the road goes straight for miles and miles. And then he keeps riding. The road is still there. The road is always still there. What matters is who it belongs to when you're on it.